Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, December 24th, Christmas Eve. We're starting a little bit late, overslept just a little bit, but not a big deal. We've got a whole collection of things to do. Let's see, we have Paladin, Priest, and then play 12 minions that cost 5 or more. I think only the Mighty might be more difficult than winning a single priest game, so let's roll that, and then that just really puts us into this point. I guess the Tavern Brawl is coming back on Christmas according to this, so Wednesday stream will do the Tavern Brawl, and so that means we can just jump in here. Now at the end of the last recording, there was quite a lot of games, and I went through a lot of them and just whittled it down. Inherently, this is still something I haven't been able to come to grips with, and I don't think anybody really has been able to come to grips with as far as looking at every game that comes out on Steam. 99% of them feel like they're garbage and not really worth mentioning, other than perhaps just so people would know just how much is coming out, or people at least have a small chance of finding that hidden gem amongst the garbage. And there is also something like about how chat is too, and I'm not trying to blame anybody specifically, but man, even 3 or 4 people on the chat can be can take up my attention, and I'd much prefer more to deal with people in the chat, but then that just stretches out the streaming even longer and longer, so I have no idea how I'm gonna handle chat if I had 100, even 100 people, even 50 people in chat. Like, at a certain point, quicker than I even thought, I'm gonna have to just resolve myself to completely ignoring it once it just becomes unmanageable. And unfortunately, that is kind of what happens for all big streamers and all big YouTubers, and it's why so many YouTubers just genuinely hate the chat too, is that it's just so overwhelming. Like, the problem is, and this is the fault of YouTube particularly, it shouldn't be really called a chat as much as it should be called a forum. And a lot of people don't remember how forums used to work. People think that it's a one-on-one conversation. So in the case of YouTube streams, there's 100 people on the chat who, for the most part, think that they're having a one-on-one conversation with the streamer, and streamers often pretend like that's the case, but it literally cannot be the case. It just doesn't work. Whereas if it were more like a forum post, if it were more like just the messages where people put messages on my videos, in comparison, I've gotten way more chat messages in live streams than I have had people comment on a video. Like, and most time when people comment on a video, the only thing I need to do to even try to be generous and respond to it is just put a thumbs up to it and be done with it. For instance, somebody commented on one of my videos where they just put question mark, whatever. I have no idea what that means. Like I looked at the video just to make sure the video played right, but there's really no description there as far as, like, was there a problem with that. And then also the issue of comments on videos is that since everything is so pre-recorded, people will talk to me about like a Lego Harry Potter game I played a long time ago, and they're commenting on something I said on that video that happened for me 6 months ago. I don't remember what I said at all. Like, I don't remember what I said for the most part. A week later, you know, having insomnia and not sleeping also doesn't do great for your memory either. So that's the thing. As I'm losing here. What was the other quest I was working on? We do have a lot of news to get to, just game-wise. Of course, it's Christmas week, it's the end of the year, there's not much going on otherwise. Good news is I'm done with Borderlands 2, which means I can finally move Borderlands 2 installation to my larger hard drive and free up space, but right now my hard drive my SSD is full of videos, mostly Hearthstone videos that need to be uploaded, so I'll probably record some stuff, but I'm also kind of running low on space and need to upload and need to keep going forward, definitely. But yeah, I am so happy to be done with Borderlands 2. It's literally a problem. Like, there's so much content in it. So many DLCs I didn't even know existed. I had to travel to every single location just to realize, oh no, this location is another DLC section that I had no clue existed. And there actually is it's hidden pretty well, but there's actually a lot of microtransaction DLCs for skins in Borderlands 2. They didn't push it very hard, and they give you the free golden keys. But yeah, even if you get the season pass and get all the content DLCs, there's still a lot of money that you could spend just for these skins that literally don't matter. But yeah, I'm so done. I probably only spent 100 hours playing Borderlands 2, all of it, but it felt like 250 hours. It's just so much grinding, so much walking around empty areas, and so much running around areas overpowered, so it was not a long or difficult fight. The game drastically shifts if you're overpowered or underpowered. If you're underpowered, you die all the time and you're respawning and you're losing all your money. Even if you're overpowered, you die all the time because you fall off ledges, and there's a quest to hold up to have $3 million in your pocket at one point, and it's close to impossible to do that, because when you get to about 2 million, you lose $150,000 every time you die, and you just will die for things that really aren't your fault. Let's see. Do I want to kill this guy? I guess I do. So once I get Borderlands 2 scheduled, that'll help me start to think about what's going to replace that time slot, because that is one time slot that isn't just getting removed completely. I also think I'm going to play The Room 2, which should be a pretty simplistic puzzle game to replace the time slot before Borderlands 2, which would be right now the Hearthstone Boomsday Puzzle Labs. Yeah, if I didn't have that content, that time slot also would have been removed. I've fallen so far behind. I say it every stream, but I think also I'm losing here. Like, I say that every stream too. Let's see. Double the health. See, I don't have the spell to actually even win here. Because it is Christmas though, or approaching Christmas, I do want to kind of rush through all of this and let's just cover the news and be done with it. In fact, so much so that once we're done with the news today, I think we'll just wrap it up. Like, even if we're not done with the daily quests. And see, I certainly wonder about that, if there's real desire for me to make content on Christmas Eve. Like, I feel like some people probably would appreciate that, but I think when you start running the numbers, most people are busy doing other things. And yeah, if TV is to be any indicator, you see that practically after Black Friday, all new content stops being made, and instead special Christmas content is put out that gets them, I assume, more views, and that's the reason they do it. You are not welcome here. Let's see.
You are the shadow's intruder.
So maybe what I should do at the end of Black Friday on my channel is make special, easier content that can be replayed. That's an interesting question. Is YouTube in particular does not really allow re-uploads of the same video over and over again, and that's something Twitch has tried to introduce but hasn't really done anything with it yet. So I think that there could easily be, with all the content I made, there could easily be reruns that were pushed out. But no, YouTube is designed to force you to constantly make new content with basically an ever increasingly small number of views. So yeah, I don't know what a YouTuber can do to be the equivalent of playing something like Frosty the Snowman on ABC, which is what like ABC does, is they play a bunch of Christmas movies from as early as the 1930s over and over again. It's a Wonderful Life, stuff like that. TBS is one of the worst examples of that, because they play the same movie, or they have in previous years. They played the exact same movie for 24 hours straight. Tragic Masters on the chat says happy holidays. Thank you, Tragic, with a little Christmas tree emoji. So yeah, that kind of puts me in a weird position right now, and have lacking options. I think the end of the year Steam wishlist cleanup videos, even though they look like nobody has watched any of them at all, that was a lot of content. That was a lot of footage, and it was something I needed to do anyways. I think that's probably going to stay around next year, December. Maybe I'll start it a little bit earlier, but But yeah, and maybe that would be the only content that gets made for December next year. That's not ideally what I would want to see happen. Man, I am not winning. I'm losing. So Combo Priest sucks. Tragic Master challenges me. I'll accept that. My Combo Priest deck apparently does not hold a candle to, say, my Warlock deck. And so now that I have a daily quest to actually beat a combo, win with Priest, it's a struggle.
Anduin versus Thrall.
I imagine by the next expansion, though, I'll have much better ranked decks than what I have even now. This Combo Priest thing only works if you have, like, both of these and a couple more spells that I don't have. Tragic Master says, get ready for presents, my Giver of Gifts deck. Tragic Master always being the creative deck namer. Yeah, let's try to burn through some of this news. We've got a game here on Steam called Impossible Tower Defense 2D. It's a tower defense game. We don't really need to look any further. Discounted to $1.19. Easy enough to ignore that game. Yeah, any turn, I guess. The problem also is I have a little bit of a bug going on where these pages are not suspending anymore. So I have like all the Steam pages up and loaded and taking up all my RAM, which means I need to close all these pages and hope that I can get that working again. Alright. This deck is terrible. It really is. There's nothing you can play early game, so I guess you're just supposed to take the damage and move on. We have a game on here called Jack and the Giant, which looks like it's a VR game. I don't like this video though. It's a VR game with some odd colors. Let's see. $10, $13.49 discounted with local multiplayer. It's a co-op asymmetrical multiplayer VR game. So instead of playing a story as you might expect from the name Jack and the Giant, it's literally just like the Friday the 13th games, where one person's going to be the giant, one's going to be the small character, and the goal is going to be to have one of them catch the other, or have, I guess, Jack escape from the giant. That's not a very interesting sounding game. So again, just close that tab. I imagine we're gonna see close to 100% bad quality games. Oh yeah, this might be helpful if I turn on Nightbot while we're on here. Suppose one could make the argument that I should consider getting rid of Nightbot's music playlist, the secret playlist thing. Inherently, a lot of things I've tried to make chat more active and make my channel more successful have not really succeeded at all. But if I was to give up and stop doing it, then I'd just be doing nothing. So until I have a better idea, I guess the secret playlist stays. I've sort of surprisingly never heard anybody complain about it.
Happy Feast of Wintervale. Don't blink. You might miss it.
So he's giving me a bunch of cards. I don't think any of them actually help me.
My hand is too full.
And then he can just destroy my cards. Draw a card, that card costs 2 less. There we go.
Meddlesome insects.
We have a double, +2 in heal, and draw. Do we have enough to play here? Not this turn, but maybe next. Although that still wouldn't do enough to win. His attack, his health is just not good enough. I need to play this next turn. So we have a game on Steam called Data Mining 4, which looks like a garbage, just monotone color. I don't know why you'd want to make something so monotone visually. Like, can you literally not program or paint things differently? This looks like a kind of basic puzzle physics game of some sort. Whatever it is, it's boring looking. It's 74 cents discounted. It's in a bundle with 30 other games to get it up to $3.53. This is clearly one of those achievement games, like 100 achievements with numbers in the achievement pictures. Alright, let's do this. This, and then we'll go ahead and hit that for really no reason. Next we have a game on Steam called Gods and Kings, which it's an ambitious name certainly, but you can see it's kind of just a basic troop movement fighting game, and I really don't have to consider it because English language is not supported. This is probably a Chinese game, yes, simplified Chinese, traditional Chinese. Like, it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 4 months or so if we see Chinese games getting approved in total. If Chinese games start getting approved again in China, it'll be interesting to see if that turns into an actual lack of games coming out on Steam, because clearly the only reason these games are coming to Steam is because they weren't being allowed in the China market. And I wouldn't be surprised if it turns into a full pullback and they switch that on us, that they go back to the old ways. That being said, it's not video game related, but I did just see on the news that because of the China trade war, for the month of November, China imported, the entire country of China allegedly imported 0 soybeans from the United States. Which, eventually, I guess the question I would like to have as somebody as an outsider is, we got a little Christmas decorations happening here. Did China not really want those soybeans anyways? Was there actually no demand? Was this just Did they import soybeans from some other countries, or could have always have grown their own? I know in the United States we like subsidize like corn, and so a significant amount of corn is used for things it shouldn't be used for. It's used to make ethanol, to basically water down gasoline. It's used in feeding farm animals, which is not good for their diet. So yeah, I don't know how that really boils down to. As far as like the problem, if I can get into an economics rant, which I occasionally get into, the problem with people buying things they don't really need, whether it's an entire country or just an individual, is it creates a inconsistent, easy to disappear amount of trade. It creates the perception of wealth that isn't really there in my mind. Like, so you see this in businesses a lot of times too, is that one of the best ways to defeat a competitor is to approach them not as a competitor, but approach them as a friend. Promise to make a order for like 1,000,000 units, have your competitors scale up, hire employees, buy equipment, buy the raw materials to build whatever they sell, and then you cancel that order, so now your competitor is in this incredible amount of debt and they've got all these units they can't sell. If you bring that up to the US China trade war, like, if we have over decades invested ourselves in growing soybeans when we should have been growing something else that would have been better for our own, for feeding ourselves or our own economy, we've invested in the wrong things at that point, and I imagine that is exactly what has happened. Like, getting back to the corn, we were way too invested in growing corn. We should take all of that down. We should be growing probably rice, or well, you know, we could probably also be growing a lot of bamboo. I don't know if the climate in the United States is particularly towards that, but if we were growing bamboo and building a lot of our wood products out of bamboo instead of logging trees, that might be helpful too.
Meddlesome insects.
Like, this is what certainly, it takes a ton of water to raise cattle, so if we could find alternate protein sources instead of raising animals, it would be a lot more resource efficient. But yeah, I am really, at this point, going into an economics rant more than anything else. So let's move on. We haven't seen too many hidden object games in a while. Here we have one, The Legacy, The Tree of Might, by 5BN Games. Like, I'm starting to notice this is the new hidden object game publisher. And they are only asking for $6.99 instead of Big Fish Games asking for like $12.13 for the collector's edition. Of course, I'm still not interested in playing a hidden object game. Maybe Big Fish Games is not allowed to put things on Steam anymore. That would be interesting. That would be rather weird. Like, of all the games that potentially could have been banned from the, all the publishers that could have potentially been banned from Steam, the one that is just flooding Steam with hidden object games really shouldn't have been a target. Particularly when you consider there's much lower quality games. But I could also see somebody at Valve saying, well, if we ban this person who puts out one troll game and then never does anything else, that's a waste of our time. Let's instead go for the people who are publishing a lot of games on Steam. And so they're going for like the bigger offenders. That would be a thought, certainly, but it would also cause Steam to be in a bad position, and Steam is in a bad position as far as its curation / non-curation of its content. It's still curation, even if they say they don't want to be tastemakers. It still is very much. They also don't want their storefront full of troll games and garbage games. And speaking of troll and garbage games, here we have Northern Tales, which is basically an asset flip game with a bunch of random looking creatures that you're fighting for $1.99. Yep, another game not making it to the list.
That didn't go as
Next we have a game on Steam called Orc Towers VR. It's a tower defense game in VR. It again doesn't look intriguing. Discounted for $4.24. There we go. Next, for something a little different, we have a shoot 'em up game called Core Rescue. At least it's a little varied here, but I'm still no fan of shoot 'em ups. It's discounted for 10% off, $4.49. You know what I've run into as a bit of a problem is during this Steam winter sale, people, the games they are suggesting to me during the discovery queue are just games that that I have already looked at and already kind of rejected, and I don't really want to build up my ignore list, so I'm not marking a lot of these games as ignore. So theoretically they're going to appear again on the discovery queue, maybe, but maybe not. So yeah, I have certainly, having looked at like 5,000 games on the discovery queue already, which it tells you how many games you've looked at. I haven't been keeping count or anything. I am so scraping the bottom of the barrel that
there's a customer aboard every minute.
alright. Hero power deals 2 damage. Let's see. Next spell I cast triggers twice. Man, I just have nothing. This priest deck is awful. It really is awful. Like, I need to rebuild it. I think I could I can do better than this. I don't know what happened there. Like, why do I have such a terrible collection of cards for the priest? It's just not competitive at all. Anyways, moving on, we have a game called Super Treasure Arena, which is undoubtedly a multiplayer focused game, so I'm not interested because of that. I'm not interested because it looks like a top-down fighting game with a lot of stuff going on. It seems like it's probably zoomed in a little too much too. Like, looking at it, it's just really hard to see what's going on. I assume this is the main character or one of the main characters, and there's just fire everywhere. I assume this is an enemy, but I don't know if that's some kind of gun spell or something. Like, I would not be able to even tell what's happening. Discounted 60% off for $3.19, and it just came out. It looks like it's a Castle Crashers clone. This, and then this,
Lightning can strike twice.
and then this, and then this, and smash. Next, we have a game on Steam called Singularity Shooter, which is just a terrible looking Asteroids clone. I spent last night, as I was working on videos and uploading videos, watching a Netflix like modern Goosebumps style TV series called Creeped Out, and in one of the episodes a character goes back in time and meets up this kid who's obsessed with beating the asteroids on Atari, like, world record, which is like slightly below 42 million points, which seems like an incredibly ridiculously large amount of points to even attempt playing such a terrible game as like Atari Asteroids, just black and white polygons, vector based shapes. This game, ignoring this game because it's not making it to the fall list, is 66% discounted. But all I could think is just how ridiculous that like how ridiculous it was for them to pick Asteroids as the game when you probably, I would have to do some research, I'm pretty sure you could have gotten Galaga on the Atari, or you could have just had the kid that was back in time move to a NES or a Sega Genesis. Like, it would be a lot more relevant, I think, visually speaking, to play something, even if you're just playing like Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong compared to Asteroids at least has color in it. But if you have to stick to an Atari, I still think you could probably find Galaga on Atari. Like, something better than Asteroids. Asteroids, like so many of the old arcade games, only really makes sense in that small bit of time where you're where there's literally nothing better to do. So like when Asteroids was out in arcades and there were no home consoles, Asteroids was slightly interesting then, because in your local arcade there may be only 4 or 5 arcade cabinets, so there's no real competition. But by the time a home console is involved is much better options. Okay. Alright, so I'm now officially totally screwed.
Prepare to face the mighty Millhouse Megastorm.
You see, I don't really have a reason to play spells or anything. We've got a game on Steam called Take That, which looks like it's a polygonal Wild West shooter game. Now, if this doesn't require VR, I'll put this on the follow list. It's early access, so, and it's selling for $2, so it's probably not good quality in the first place, because that's a really, really low price. Yeah, in fact, the low price is the thing that's scaring me here. I don't know if this game would ever get any better, and my follow list is just growing and growing. But by my current standards, which probably need to be raised, this is a game that should be on the follow list. This potentially has a chance of being a good game, and I don't know. I was thinking when I was covering Borderlands, like, Gearbox doesn't own Borderlands, 2K does. So Gearbox as a company has no IP that they own and no tentpole games that they have at all, except for the ones that they, except for Borderlands, which they just make for the publisher 2K, and 2K Games in particular is not super interested these days in making very many new games, or even making very many games at all. So if they were to take a game that felt a lot like Borderlands and put it in the West, or put it in a fantasy environment, or put it in a real world environment, that would be a probably decent idea for them to do. I know they tried Battleborn and they got screwed out of that by Overwatch, and that was just unfortunate for them. Let's see. Tragic Master said, "I will concede when you get to 15 for the win." Alright. Thank you, Tragic Master. Let's see. And that saves me some time. A lot. What was our other quest? Mage class cards. I want to come over here and let's just see if we can make a better priest card. Priest deck. Let's see. Priest. I'm actually going to make a deck using just my own knowledge. And let's see. The thing I feel like that a lot of people do when they make decks is they just look at websites that tell you the value of the cards, instead of looking as a whole to what you might be able to do in general. Let's see, I don't know if you really need something like Radiant Elemental or Shadow Ascendant. It could also be that Combo Priest actually does work if you know how to play it, and I just don't know how to play it. But I see here, looking at everything I can play with, which is quite a lot of cards, I see here better options. I may not be able to play Light Spawn. That might be an issue. Let's see. Let's see what we have when we type in the word light. No, not light spawn. That's not who I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of the other ones. Let's see if I can find it. And some of this stuff just gets kind of forgotten too, like a light warden. So let's see, light warden. Yeah, there was a spell that would have summoned you some more light wardens. I guess that spell's in wild now. But yeah, just simple things like the owl. Like that feels like that should be something you should have in every deck. You probably, I don't know if you really need something to destroy a weapon, but it might be helpful. Let's see. Whenever a player casts a spell. Still looking for the owl. See, I haven't even gotten into any kind of late game strategy, which I guess are really not my forte. Let's just type in owl. Yeah, Ironbeak Owl is still doable. So do I need Project Profit Balin? Probably not. Yeah, a lot of this, I guess, just boils down to having too many cards now. Like, I'd hate to make an argument for having cards go in the wild, but honestly, if you're gonna stick to the 30 card decks, which you probably should, they probably should start pushing it up to 60 card decks. But that would just slow down the game even more. So I don't know really how you fix any of that. I wonder if Shudderwalk would work in here. I don't even know if I have Shudderwalk. Should I have the Lich King in this deck? Probably. Like, am I doing anything that is better than what I had? I want to come back here and just type in the key phrase heal. Let's see. Tragic Master, I've said on the chat, happy holidays, hope you enjoyed the presents. Tragic Master should have about 3 tech cards depending on what you're fighting a lot. Mech versus MCT versus Zoo, Ooze versus Warrior, Pally, Rogue, Silence versus buff decks. Combo Priest should be 80% draw, 18% buff, 2% tech. Silence versus Taunts. Buff OK, turn EG. Well, I don't know if I understood any of that. I'm not that technical. But I'll try to follow it as best as I can understand it. Restore 6 health to all friendly characters. rid of that. Get rid of that. Maybe I am just too dumb for Hearthstone. I could have sworn that there was another card that got attack when you healed, and that there was a card that you could summon whenever you healed. Here it is. Gain 1 health for each spell in your hand. That might be crazy. Swap the health and attack of all other minions. See, I particularly don't like Twilight Drake as a card. I just don't feel like it ever works. I don't think that would ever happen. Okay, I think that's kind of the best I can do. Let's come back in here and give it a name. Test. As a literal name. And let's go in here and see if perhaps that makes some more sense to my brain than Combo Priest does. Tragic Master put a smiley face low. Yeah, I'm feeling a little sleepy right now, so trying to build a deck and understand what's going on is certainly not the smartest move. But let's see. If I win here, like, maybe I just have kind of a drunken master style of playing Hearthstone, where man, I think you probably could use a combo of this and a bunch of spells, and then that creature that I didn't add that gained health for every spell you have in your hand. That might be something that that would work. But these more complicated strategies do seem like they get crazy. Although, I guess, in cases like this, like, the only way Test Subject works is if I had a spell that doubled him and summoned an exact copy, like the Boomsday Puzzle Labs. And I did not put a spell in my hands in my deck that would do that. So I could double his health, I could change his attack. When he dies, then that would be something, but not a lot. Meanwhile, I guess I can do this and then do this. And while we're waiting for them to play their turn, we have a game called Ultimate Legends, which is just another one of these RPG Maker games for $1.99. Yep, that's not making it to the fall list. Let's see, we have a game on Steam called Evolo the Sun, which looks terrible. Looks like endless paint level graphics. You know, it did occur to me, this game is discounted to 74 cents. It did occur to me that if I was ever a bigger content creator. Eventually, I very possibly am going to gain the ire of some game developer, because a lot of these games I do look at for less than 5 seconds and just go, they look like garbage. And that's pretty much all I say. Although, let's be honest, if somebody is going to be that petty for a single curt, brief, visual thought, visual evaluation of the game, then they probably are going to run into other people that they're more irritated with first than me.
What's happening?
Let's go ahead and kill that. Next we have a game on Steam called 1001 Jigsaw Legend of the Mystery. This looks like it's a Halloween themed jigsaw puzzle game that is coming out December 24th, so they are late to the party on that one. Discounted for $2.99. Tiny little puzzles here. Obviously not worth the money. Not a quality amount of gameplay there. Let's see.
Embrace the void.
Why is it? Aww. I just hurt myself. That was dumb. I meant to heal myself so I could play this. Played out of order. And that was really dumb.
Not quite what was planned.
Jade Serpent guide you.
Alright, let's do this. Alright, now what do we want to do? Kill that. And attack that. There we go. Next we have a game on Steam called Bubble Burst, which is just a simplistic Bubble Bobble clone. It doesn't look terrible, but it certainly is lacking a lot of polish. $2.99. It clearly needs like a timer, a score, like a UI. Like, again, these are the type of games that look like they are projects for a school project, not a alright, well, let's do this.
What's happening?
Reality breaks. It's playtime. Job's done.
Maybe I could have played a little bit differently there. Next we have a game that's tagged sexual content in a visual novel, so we'll do it at my own risk, called Girl and Sweets. Now let's just point out quickly and not get into a rant. This is still a schoolgirl outfit in Japan. This is just a winter outfit. And there's some definite weirdness there, because in the United States, most schools, at least when I was going to school, maybe it's changed now, didn't really have any kind of like uniform or outfit at all. So any clothing a child was wearing in the United States is an indication that they may or not be of a certain school age. But yeah, this is just a slightly different styled one, and it has gotten approved where others seem to have not been approved. Like, totally. This is still a high school outfit. This is... so the hypocrisy is still very much seems like it's going on. Let's see. I mean, the mature content, girl-on-girl relationships, alcohol and cigarettes, scenes with sexual overtones, scenes of kissing girls. And this is an English and Russian game, so it's not a Japanese game. So the hypocrisy again gets shown that if it's made from a Japanese company and has Japanese language, it's getting held to a different standard than what people speaking English, people speaking Russian, people speaking basically any other language. At what point do you just call it what it is and say it's just anti-Japanese?
Not all who wander are lost.
I may have screwed this up.
Quickly.
Yep, I probably did. I went on too much of a rant and screwed it up. Let's see. Tragic Master says web peak broken, tell me in the chat. Really? Let's see. Web peak broken, tell me in the chat. Why is it doing that? Has it been that way this whole time? Okay, well, apologies for that. Alright, well then... Tragic Master, has it been like that since the beginning of the stream? Alright, well we need to play some mage cards. Let's hop in here and play Tempo Mage. The priest deck that I built there is something that, at least at the moment, I did. See, I don't know if I can fix that right now because I think I'd have to
Watch your back.
You asked for it.
see, I'd have to come over to this. I'd have to try this again. See, unless I could add... No, I can't do that either. Yep. Well, WebPeak is not going to be used for the rest of this stream because I'd have to end the entire stream, close out OBS, and that's it. Alright, so we're back to the old days, which arguably maybe that's what people like anyways. Is just, we'll just talk about the games and I'll not do the WebPeak anymore. Let's see.
Happy Feast of Winterveil.
Let's see. Tragic Master said, just noticed the WebPeak now when I sat back down, but I was off screen for our game, so I'm not sure how long it has been this way. It's probably been this way this whole time. Again, this is a problem with being a small-time YouTuber, is that if your software screws up, which it does on occasion, and there's usually only 1 or 2 people watching anyways. Well, we'll just cover these games the old-fashioned days. We have a game on Steam called The Chronicles of King Arthur, Episode 1 Excalibur. It says it's a casual game. It's a match 3 game. More of a Candy Crush game. It's discounted for $5.99 from Episode 1 of a Candy Crush game. That is incredibly, incredibly expensive. Here I'm gonna do a gamble and hope this works. Even if it doesn't work, I'm just trying to cast spells anyways. So, of course, the Chronicles of King Arthur Episode 1 is not making it to the fall list. We have a game on Steam called Sudoku 3D, which seems like it's a very weird depiction of the idea of having a 3D Sudoku board, which I'm not exactly sure how that would even work. Like, I'm seeing a very flat 2D image of 3x3 grids and some grids that get bigger and bigger, but I'm not seeing anything that looks like a Rubik's Cube or a sphere. Sudoku 3D is discounted for $1.29, and it just doesn't look like a quality version of a Sudoku game. I should have played this and this while I had a chance. Tech Raptor has an article. Madmind Studio, the creators of the game Agony, and then also the publishers of Agony Uncut, in a weird, the way they did that was insanely odd. Like, I would never do business personally with Madmind Studios in the way that they screwed out their own publisher of money. I guess I need to explain that. Like, Madmind Studios made Agony. They came out directly and threw their publisher under the bus when Agony came out censored, and said it's the publisher's fault, it's the publisher's fault. Don't worry though, we're going to publish an uncut version. And then they came back later and said, oh, the publisher won't let us publish an uncut version. And then eventually they self-published an uncut version, taking all of the profits with them. So, and the way they did it, they made it pretty obvious that nobody should buy the cut version. Nobody would want to buy the cut version. Although, honestly, in fairness, I don't think for Agony it's a good enough game to even want to play the uncut version. So that's just like some weirdness, totally. And I'm fairly certain that Madmind Studios also had put out a demo for another game that wasn't in the Agony universe, if there is going to be such a thing. So they already had announced that they were working on something different. And Agony was a Kickstarter game, and it just feels like it feels a little shady. Everything they do feels like it's not coming from somebody who really knows how to run business and maintain relationships. Particularly, it seems like they're burning bridges. Anyways, that backstory and editorialization aside, TechRaptor has this article. Madmind Studios reveals Agony spin-off called Succubus, why? Because why the hell not? And so I'm looking at a picture here of a woman who looks like she's covered in burn scars on her arms and blood, and has long fingernails. I imagine this is supposed to be a succubus. Now, major problems with Agony was it really was just a, I don't know how you best describe it. It was a hide and seek game, it felt like, where you're just running away from an invincible monster, for the most part, with some very badly designed, simplistic puzzles. It was this 100% visual thing. It was a gore exploitation style game. That's a good phrase. Gore exploitation and sexploitation, because they had monsters that just like were topless with human breast, but then the rest of the monster looked completely unhuman. So it really wasn't a fun game when the reviews finally came in, and I don't really think it just had to do with content. I don't think it really was a case of this was just not a lot of video game critics' bag, although that might have been some of it. I think the game really was bad. I think that game, Lust for Darkness, is still probably a better choice if you're going to pick between the two. And Lust for Darkness at least came out with a lot less controversy. Anyways, the article continues. The game's main features for the sequel's Succubus. I could have won. I almost could have won there. But I'm just backsliding. I'm totally backsliding. So if I wanted to win and go up in ranked, it's don't do the daily quest and on ranked play at all, and instead just play Zoo Warlock, because Zoo Warlock is the only thing that even slightly wins with some consistency. And I imagine that is how most people who play Hearthstone play it, is that they do the daily quests on casual mode, and then they spend several hours a day whenever they play, just playing the top tier meta deck that they can, and nothing else, which would be incredibly boring. I'm gonna just trade all of this. Succubus's main game features will include intense and brutal action using weapons and pyrokinesis. That's what the other game, Scorn, is supposed to be like. Scorn is still in development, allegedly, although I haven't heard anything about it at all. Scorn was supposed to be this Bioshock, like one hand is magic, one hand is weapons style gameplay. So it seems like they're going to try and compete with that. See, now I'm playing a hunter, so anything I put on the field is just gonna die. If it has 2 health. He's just doubled that chance. It's supposed to have diversified opponents, an expandable skill tree, a system of weapons and armors that affect the player's statistics. Now, I don't know what weapons, armors, or weapon or armor is going to look like in a game like Succubus that is going to look a lot like Agony. Like, you can have, I guess, a bone club and then a cracked bone club, and then but when you get too far away from that, you're gonna start. I doubt you're gonna have guns. I doubt you're gonna have swords. I doubt you're gonna have any kind of laser weapons or anything. It's gonna have a rich and diverse world of hell. Now, for any series like Agony, I would say hell should be this amorphic design, so that like the sequel doesn't particularly have to look like the previous ones. It just has to have a somewhat similar appearance visually, like so that way it's not too repetitive. It's going to include a multi-story plot combining horror with action and survival. I don't know if survival is anything anybody even wants these days. I'm going to do this.
Just like you.
I should have done that first. and it's going to have a hostile environment full of traps and enemies, and a surreal visual setting and gore. Some of these things, like a rich and diverse world of hell and surreal visual and gore, kind of are the same things. Let's see. The TechRaptor's article continues. Agony's journey has been arduous, to say the least. Mad Mind Studios released the game to controversy earlier this year. First of all, Steam forced the team to cut not safe for work content from the game. Oh yeah, let's not forget that. The Agony was definitely one of the reasons that Steam said they weren't going to be tastemakers, and then pretty much decided they were going to be tastemakers at this point, it seems like. Then they released the material in Agony unrated alongside announcing a Switch version. Finally, Agony lookalike Unholy is coming from the same publisher, Playway. Mad Mind once listed as a publisher, but has been removed thanks to Agony's low review scores. Unholy, I had not even heard that part of the story. Yeah, Unholy isn't out yet. It's coming out in late 2019. Right. So, I don't know, maybe it is the publisher Playway's issue and not Mad Mind's issue, but it certainly does come to me and feel like that it's Mad Mind just doesn't know how to run their business and not burn bridges. Which that will only last or work for a short amount of time. Speaking of things not working, TechRaptor has an article. Battlefield 5 doesn't hit sales expectations. Digital game spending down from last year. No real surprise there. It certainly is going to be interesting as I listen to the Giant Bomb end of the year coverage, just to see how they and other end of the year coverage podcasts I might listen to try to justify 2018 as a good year, because I honestly think it was a try-hard year. Everybody tried really, really hard, but I don't think anybody really succeeded this year. Every game comes out with like an asterisk or a problem with it, particularly the AAA games. It's going to be hard, very hard for me to look at all the games that came out in 2018 and try and give like a game of the year in general for games I didn't cover. So I'm not sure I'm really even going to try and make a video like that. Instead, I'll make an end of the year video talking about the games I covered, which are all old games. Which, frankly, Borderlands 2 may actually win Game of the Year for 2018, even though it is a problematic game with having too much content. That's a weird thing to complain about, but it really is its issue. This. There. TechRaptor's article continues. Battlefield 5 is currently 33 to 50% off at retailers, in large part due to holiday discounts, but the discounting is fairly aggressive for a new release from EA. Also, analysts are dropping EA's 2019 revenue predictions from $2.2 billion to $1.8 billion. Yet it's possible they're being pessimistic over Battlefield's low sales, especially given the fact that various release dates have been may have impacted their analysis, as might have Origin Access Premium providing access. We won't know factual data until January, but we should expect downward revenue revisions from analysts. So yeah, things don't look good for EA. Things don't look good in general for the stock markets. there's definitely issues going on with a trade war and such, so let's see. Are we gonna get that explosive trap? That's what I figured.
Someone's out on me.
Strike.
Just all these traps activating, and you really can't even do anything when you're playing Secret Hunter. Just cause all of that to happen. How much noise can I make in one move? So yeah, speaking, I think I probably have an article about this, but I might as well mention it right now. G2A, the key selling website that a lot of people are not happy with, or weren't happy with at least about a year ago, because developers were saying that they were selling stolen keys, and GTA was not really doing anything to protect or verify that the keys that they were trading and selling actually hadn't already been activated or were just made up or stolen. And instead GTA said, no, you have to pay this extra insurance scam service if your key doesn't work, and apparently even that was not enough money for GTA. So now they literally are going to start charging people for not logging into their website. So I don't know what you can do there. It's like log into GTA if you have a GTA account to delete your account, change your credit card numbers so they can't charge you, dispute the charges if they do charge you. That's pretty much all I think you can do. So alright, we're done with this. Let's switch over to the European account. Now, I had a quest in the European account last night, and I did it possibly early. So I think I have a pack to open. Let's see.
The tavern's always
As for Battlefield 5 in this TechRaptor article, like, there's probably a lot of different reasons. Frankly, here, we have another watch and learn. Let's spectate. There's probably a lot of different reasons why you would Battlefield 5 isn't succeeding. Undoubtedly, some of that reasons is just burnout for the Battlefield series in general, but also undeniably where's my, oh, I guess that wouldn't work because I'm spectating the Hearthstone deck tracker app. But a big part of that too is just unrealisticness and SJW-ness of the person in charge and the people in charge of creating Battlefield. And man, it really does feel like every story just goes back to some kind of controversy or something, some kind of rant. Particularly in video games, it really sucks. But I guess that's what news is in general. When people talk about news is inherently negative or has a negative bias, it kind of has to be and is, because if I were to, if there were stories about people adopting puppies and saving kittens from trees and such, those can happen certainly, but they just really don't happen because, you know, video game companies are corporations, and corporations are just out to get as much money as possible, so they don't really do good things on a frequent basis. So all the news really does just boil down to what is the scummiest of the scummy things all these scummy video game corporations are doing today. And on that theme, TechRaptor has an article. A real money gambling game appears on Steam. Now, I was fairly certain that Steam would not have allowed this, but I imagine this is a case of something just getting let through, and Steam was too busy censoring all the Japanese visual novels to pay attention to the ones that actually have gambling in them. So this is one of those stories that TechRaptor got from Reddit. So many of the mainstream video game media, all they do all day is look at Reddit, and that means that companies have already figured out they can manipulate Reddit for their own advantage. But anyways, a Redditor by the name Tar Official found a game called X2 Roulette, which will effectively allow players to gamble real-world money on casino-style roulette, then sell the potential winnings on the Steam marketplace for credit. I don't know how that would work at all.
Meddlesome insects.
See, and the article goes on to say, well, it looks like Valve approved this, but Valve seems to approve everything at first and then not allow it. So this game is still on Steam. It's X2 Roulette, but here's the deal. And as I see it right now, it says coming soon, item not yet available. I think their process is bad. Like, inherently, I think Steam's approval process and letting people have web pages without you really looking at what the product is really bad. So while this game claims that it does all of these things, nobody has played it according to this. It has no reviews. It says it's coming soon. It looks like a complete and total piece of garbage program, like a troll game.
So many possibilities.
It is an English and Russian game, so it's just one of these Russian troll games. Although, you know what? You could be an English troll pretty easily and then say a game includes Russian even when it doesn't, and then I would just immediately assume it is a Russian troll game when it might not be. Like, this could be a troll from any place. Could just be like false flag trolling going on. This really is just a story, again, of Steam needs to evaluate the games before they get any kind of presence whatsoever on the Steam store. Like, and they're doing a very bad job of that for things. And when they do decide to censor something, it's always the wrong things, in my opinion. So if it were a case where Steam was very consistently saying we're not going to be the tastemaker and we're going to let gambling on our website, which they specifically say they won't do that, it's not legal in a significant amount of the regions that Steam exists to have online gambling. In fact, in the United States, it's been, for the most part, never illegal to gamble online, even though there's been a lot of that happening. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Buttle Tank, which is an awful looking game where you drive a tank and shoot at a bunch of other tanks. They're tiny little pixel square things.
Let the pain speak to me.
I don't know what the best reference would be. I guess it's kind of a shoot 'em up, but a really slow moving shoot 'em up. It looks like something that would have been alright for like an Atari, or a Commodore 64 game. Not even up to the level of a Nintendo Entertainment System. Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Bifrost Project. Bifrost. It's all in French, so I don't know if this game supports English. It looks like it's probably a strategy game of some sort. It doesn't look particularly interesting. It's early access, $29.74 discounted. It is in no way visually appealing enough to be that expensive. It looks like an old Windows 95 game at best. I'd be willing to pay $2.99 for it at most. Gamatsu has an article, a game called Baroque Syndrome, that's B-A-R-O-Q-U-E, is coming to smartphones in January 2019 in Japan. It's some kind of visual novel. I've got a trailer here, let's see if the trailer is going to show me anything. No, it's just showing me a bunch of Japanese text. So that's not very helpful. Actually, I don't think I have too much news. Somehow. So if we can get some stuff done here quickly on the European account, and if we can get some stuff done on the Asian account, I'd like to call it a day and start uploading videos. I have so many videos that need to be uploaded. I'm hoping this guy wins, but I don't think he is going to. I like the concept of doing the end of the year Steam wishlist cleanup videos, because it makes a lot of content that if people want to watch it on Christmas or New Year's or Christmas Eve, then that content is already out there and you can go back and see it without me personally having to do a 12-hour stream on Christmas or Christmas Eve or New Year's Day, where a lot of people might not even tune in for that. There was a lot of talk with Loki on the chat about sponsorships. Sid Alpha, coincidentally, has done a darn it. Let's just stick with him. I mean, and hopefully this guy will win. Like he's lit rank 19. So hopefully we'll get like a quick victory. Well, you know what we could try to do is we could leave and then we could come here and spectate the other guy. We'll just jump around and that might save us a little bit of time. Maybe, maybe not. So if anybody wants to see some of the frustration with sponsorships, Sid Alpha certainly is having a lot of it right now, because he sponsored this game called Black Desert Online. As far as I know, Black Desert Online is an okay Chinese MMO, kind of competitor to World of Warcraft. I haven't paid a lot of attention to it, certainly, but he put out a video that was sponsored by it, and at the beginning of it was like 2 minutes and 30 seconds of a video ad, which was way too long and irritated it. Let's see, what is he saying? Craft Quest 30 card Warlock Naquar, what? Calf Quest 30 cart Warlock Nekar Druid Mook Warlock. I have no idea what that is. Like, okay, whatever he's typing to me, I don't know. Like, I did not understand that. That didn't seem like a full sentence. So people are upset with Sid Alpha because he did a too long sponsorship. People are upset with Sid Alpha because he sells himself as a consumer advocacy person, and now he's being paid directly by the creators of Black Desert Online. People are upset specifically because he was covering Black Desert Online because they had complaints about that game, and in his follow-up video on that, he sounded miserable, absolutely miserable. He said he'd gone through like a week of people just attacking him on Twitter and in the comments and downvoting his videos just because he had done that sponsorship. And so yeah, there can very well be a downside to sponsorships. I recommend anybody check that out. After seeing that video, my opinion on sponsorship is even more solidified. He talks about how no, it was not paying him a significant amount of money. I think there's also probably a misunderstanding between what a YouTuber can get for sponsorships and what maybe a local business can get for sponsorships, because sometimes like a local newspaper or a local TV station can get something that's close to a sponsorship and get paid pretty good. But when you're talking the world of the internet and you're competing against everyone else, that's it. But I don't want to also rehash a conversation with Loki not around. I just wanted to point out Sid Alpha's having that problem right now. So I'm gonna stick with Swanky Orc instead of going back to this guy. I mean, I guess I could do this and we could see if maybe this will work. We'll just toggle between the two. But honestly, if I'm just looking to get money, I'm not gonna personally take the path of sponsorships. It's easier, smarter, and quicker for me to just stop making YouTube content. And I don't want to come off rude that way, but honestly, if I need money, I'm going to work at Walmart, I'm going to work at Burger King. I'll get paid more consistently that way and more money in the long run that way than I would trying to monetize YouTube. And ideally, still, let me point out Patreon. The idea of Patreon, or whatever will replace Patreon when it happens, is that I have a consistent number of fans that would pay me directly, so I can not ever really need to run ads on my YouTube channel, which is certainly a possibility. Even if I did have 1,000 subscribers, could run ads. If I'm getting enough from Patreon, then that certainly would be a goal I could stick to. And I don't have to give cuts to YouTube, who doesn't deserve it, in my opinion. And I don't have to get in bed with companies I may not agree with. I don't know if I mentioned I continued to invest in this channel by buying 100 games during the Steam Winter Sale. I think I did mention that, but so we're well set for next year, except for brand new games. They put in a new I'm not playing, I forgot. They put in a new gameplay mode for Darksiders 3 too, so I kind of would like to go and try it now in the classic gameplay mode. That might actually really improve the experience compared to what I've heard it was. Moving on, we have a game called Melordandek, Melordandk, which is tagged as an early access puzzle game. This is one of those games where I'd really like it to be more of a, I would like the web peak to work. I cannot really tell what this is. It kind of looks like it's a puzzle Pac-Man style game in a 3D environment where you're trying to move a square to eat a bunch of green squares to get some kind of code to like disarm a bomb or something. Like, I don't know if this is really a game or not, but I guess what I'll do is I'll put it on the follow list. It's early access, and it's $8.39. Yeah, I don't know if this is, if there's something here to this, or if this is just some random assortment of things. But I'll put it on the follow list, and we'll see later. Next, I have a game that's all in Chinese characters, and I can't show you what it is. English language not supported in general. It's simplified Chinese and traditional Chinese. It looks to me like it's a car/tank multiplayer MMO game of some sort. But yeah, I can't describe it any more than that. This isn't really video game news, but Open Broadcast Software, the software I'm using to stream, and lots of people use to stream, is working in a beta to add service integration. So integration of streaming services with Twitch, starting with Twitch, and then YouTube, Mixer, and Facebook, etc. It allows you to connect OBS to your Twitch account, giving you access to features of each services, starting with integrated chat window, as well as, and as they progress, they're going to add more tools that you'll be able to stream without having to open up many extra browser windows or programs. This feature, of course, is optional. So that would be very helpful as a YouTube streamer to integrate chat a little bit better. We could do some new things instead of the way I'm kind of kludging it together right now. It's a Windows only version in the beta. Of course, I'm not a Twitch streamer, so this is the beginning of some exciting new things for OBS. And if Twitch and YouTube integrate some more options, that would be great. Like right now, it's kind of difficult to use some of these features. Hopefully it would be easier. But then again, YouTube is also changing a lot of its back-end stuff in 2019, so there's a lot of stuff that may not work either. Let's see. Tragic Master said on the chat, I sometimes think I'm playing when I'm spectating too. Smiley face. Yeah. It's easy to happen, particularly when you're distracting yourself. Multitasking. Like, I don't think I'm one of the tiny 1% of people that can actually truly multitask. Although I think I'd probably do it a lot better than most people. But most people, when they multitask, what they're really doing is they're switching between... darn it. The other one left. They're switching between focusing on one thing versus the other. Do I even have a challenge? Alright, whatever. I don't even freaking know what my quests are. Let's just play Zoo Warlock. It's like, maybe we'll just let this guy win. Like, that's not what I was trying to do. I have a watch and learn.
Gul'dan versus Lunara.
The forest fights back.
But at least this will give me something to do. I don't think I'm gonna end up breaking up this recording today. We've got a game on Steam called Impulso, I-M-P-U-L-S-O-W. It looks like it's kind of a simplistic, very monotone in each screen. It has different colors, so like one level will be orange, one level will be blue, but it's just all orange and all blue. It's not particularly good looking at all. And then the foreground is just black, and you're this kind of robot that's hovering and trying to get from point A to point B. Impulso is 40% off for $2.99. That's not a good quality product. Let's see. 2 damage or draw a card. TechRaptor has an article. Does Bethesda.net's account creation violate the GDPR? We haven't heard about the GDPR in a while. That is the European protection law for, I guess theoretically it's a protection law for people on the internet. It did some good things, although a lot of it I think is still just kind of being ignored by people outside of the European Union, or a lot of companies are just straight up blocking or transferring people coming from European IP address to a different website. It's simple things like having to opt in to advertisements, having to opt in to, I think, them sharing information. Let's see, it's reading. First reported on GameWatcher.com, they found a popular Reddit thread discovered users are being opted in to see ZeniMax ads automatically upon account creation. GameWatcher.com says this is a major no-no according to the GDPR, and Reddit users are now on the now removed thread also called the General Data Protection Regulation into question. Here's a quote. The aim of the GDPR is to protect all EU citizens from privacy and data breaches in today's data-driven world. Which, you know, that is a very fair concern. Like, that, with all the data breaches that are happening, it is a very, very fair concern to say, hey, let's not have you sharing information like crazy. Let's see. GDPR applies to all EU citizens located in the EU and those who are abroad, which basically means that the European Union is trying to have it apply to everybody, even people outside of their control. Because how would a website know that you're a European Union citizen? There we go.
A wild miscalculation.
Let's see what this guy does. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if ZeniMax once again is screwing up.
Your magic shall not save you.
Well played.
Who dares summon me?
There you go, I'm gonna let him win.
You win this time.
You left the game too early to earn rewards. What? I thought I had to get him down to 15. Alright, well, he canceled that. Let's see. We're supposed to be playing spells in Druid and Rogue, by the way. Opening card packs. I guess we're not gonna get this done. Let's just take a Druid deck and see how that works for us. Tragic Master said, "Good game, thank you." But yeah, really no question there that I was gonna win playing Warlock. Let's see. We have a game on Steam called Tech Executive Tycoon. It's already rated negatively. It's an early access game for $19.99. Seems like it's a building simulator to start off with, kind of like The Sims, and then eventually I think it does get into the nitty-gritty of running a tech office. Somewhat. Yeah. Again, another one of those games where you're doing a job. I don't know why anybody would want to play a game doing somebody else's job. Like, we have a game on Steam called Lost Artifacts Soulstone. It's discounted to $8.99. I believe this is another one of those resource management games where you're just moving characters back and forth and they're picking up like items and transferring them. It's kind of like a real-time strategy game, but not really, because the paths are already laid out for you. I don't know why there are so many games like this, because I haven't even seen cell phone games that look like this, and it totally feels like this would be a cell phone game. But there must be some website somewhere that's full of games like this that makes people think they're popular. Or maybe they really are popular and I'm just completely not in the loop. Next we have a game on Steam called Elash, E-L-A-S-H, which is a VR game where you're standing in one place and looks like shooting at things, just a standard tower defense game. Early access, discounted to $5.39. That's pretty low for a VR game, price wise. Alright, remember, I'm trying to play spells here. Gamma Sutra does have that article. G2A's payment service is charging users for inactivity. G2A Pay is charging a recurring service fee for members who are inactive for over 180 days. So that is a considerable amount of time to forget that you have created a GTA account, to then have it come back and try and charge you. And most credit cards give you a couple of years, so if you put in a brand new credit card into their information that didn't expire for 3 or 4 years and it's charging you twice a year, you could get 5-6 charges out of that before the card is just rejected. It's worth noting that this is separate from GTA, which is known for being a digital marketplace similar to eBay to sell video game keys. G2A Pay is a payment service. Yeah, but it's the same company, same scummy company from what it sounds like. There's an email detailing a €1 account. See, and I wouldn't be surprised if some payment service accounts do charge you like $1 and then give you $1 back just to make sure the card is still active. There definitely is a way to do that, but to charge $1 and not give it back is a completely different scenario. According to the post, a recurring fee of €1 will be charged every month after 180 days pass, during which the user does not log in. Oh, so that's a lot more money. That's like, if you're getting 3 years of $1 a month, you're talking $36, 36 euros. Quote, there's a quote here: "We don't require these users to buy anything, just log in at least once every 6 months, just so that we know they're still with us. As a financial institute, we are also monitored, supervised, and audited, and have to back up and explain all of our accounts and the funds stored on these accounts as bull." Like, if this was true, then every single bank account that is just sitting in the United States would be charging service fees for inactivity. I have a bank account I don't think I've done anything with in at least 2 or 3 years, or at least I've done very little with it. I've definitely gone 6 months without logging in or looking at it at all. And in the United States, that doesn't mean that they charge you an account. It means that sometimes they have to claim that money to abandon. There's like a state lost property, abandoned property thing they can do, where they list it, and then if you don't claim that money or whatever other property, then the bank can keep it all. So there definitely can be a scenario where you have thousands of dollars in a bank account and then you go missing, and then 5 years later that money now belongs to the bank. But it doesn't happen very often. You basically have to die and have no friends or family claim it or know it exists. Let's see. Once an account may be considered abandoned, we take certain steps to make sure that we're in line with all regulations, jurisdictions, and laws. This is another one of those instances of a scummy company doing something that they want to do to benefit themselves, or at least to, and claiming it's the law. This is a big problem in the United States and probably around the world and politics in general, is that you have corporations claiming it's the government that's forcing them to do these awful things. You have the government claiming it's the corporations that are doing these awful things, and really they're kind of working together, or they're both lying a lot of times. So yeah, it's not a good scenario. Let's see, what can we do? There's another quote here: "Account balances are not the same as gift cards. You can use a gift card to recharge the balance on a GTA account, but you can also recharge it in a myriad of other ways. Therefore, the two are not the same," the company responded. The quote, like, people are saying this is a violation of gift card laws, but they're saying, well, that's not a gift card, so we can get away with it. The simple thing to take from here is I seriously would not suggest using G2A and thus also I would not take a sponsorship from G2A. Like, it feels like it is as bad as eBay and PayPal, and I wouldn't recommend using those services either. While you might get some good deals, you might not, and you might get screwed in the end. Let's see. There we go.
Amazing.
Look out below!
Amazing.
Mushroom punch!
Let's see. I screwed up. I probably could have won there.
Job's done.
Maybe. GameIndustry.biz has an article. Over 100 Blizzard staff accept buyouts. In Cork Island, the customer service employees are taking a publisher up on repeated offers to leave for as much as a year's worth of pay. This is the only reason why they're offering this is because in Ireland you have jobs where you're required to either be fired at fault or you get the people to quit. Unlike in the United States, or at least about half the United States, where you're an at-will employee, and that means they can just fire you for no reason whatsoever. So offering up to a year's pay sounds like a lot. It really isn't that much, because I don't know how many of these people that were in the customer service part of Blizzard were from Ireland in the first place. I mean, you're talking, it's very possible that some of them moved all the way from the United States to Cork Island to run this. It's possible people moved from other parts in Europe. They upended their lives. They potentially bought houses, bought cars, went through a lot of effort, and a year's pay may not really be that much. For as much frustration and the mess that Blizzard has caused. And this is really another story of just Blizzard is
That's incredible.
falling apart. I saw a video or a claim here that all of Blizzard at this point is just being run by Activision's financial department, and there's nobody who should be in charge of Blizzard at all. And let's face it, Activision is not doing the greatest of jobs either, as far as releasing games. It's not a tale of two separate developers and under the same name. It's a clear and obvious instance of neither one of the companies have integrated well or gone on to create bigger and better games. This was kind of a funny tweet that I retweeted. I think it came directly from Go Nintendo tweet first, but it also came from Team Meat, Super Meat Boys. Facebook, they were trying to run an ad for Super Meat Boy Forever. In the ad, there is a picture of Meat Boy and Bandage Girl, and both of them are these square creatures that have just very cylindrical legs and arms, and just a slight indication that yes, they do have a butt or buttocks. So it's just like a line and a swoop here and there. And so Facebook rejected it as being sexually explicit for their ads, which, I mean, I'm sure that was just an automatic thing. So I mean, it's more of a, oh, this is a funny thing that happened. It's not something to really get all up in arms about. And they straightened it out pretty fast. But yeah, that happened. Next, we have a game on Steam called Greedy Crush, which is, you'd think it was Candy Crush, but it actually doesn't look like that. I'm gonna have to watch the video just to see what it is. It's more like, I forget the name of, like Zuma. Yeah, it's like a 3D VR version of Zuma, I believe is the name of the game, where there's this long chain of beads and marbles, although in this case it's not actually beads and marbles, it's like some dice shape of different colors, and when you match 3 or more in the chain, they disappear, or 4 or more. No, it's 3 or more. Just keep on playing. Yeah. This is a VR game. It's $2.99 for Greedy Crush. I don't see a real reason why this type of game would work better in VR than regular. It really does seem like it's just the standard idea of standing in one place and shooting. Let's see. I guess I both retweeted Team Meat, and I think I also commented on one of their videos, because one of their Twitter posts, because they were asking for recommendations for microphones and cameras. I don't use a camera, but there happened to be a slick deals for the Blue Yeti microphone and the arm and a pop filter, so I gave him that. But then later on in the comments he said, oh, my budget's bigger than that, and well, I think at that point I could probably suggest $600,000 to $100,000 worth of equipment, but you really have to question, if you're getting new and you want microphone equipment, if you're getting into this new and you don't know how microphone equipment works and how to configure it and run it, because once you introduce a soundboard and professional level microphones, you need somebody that actually knows how to run all that equipment. Once you introduce a camera and a professional camera, you need somebody that knows how to run it. This is not going to be just set it and forget it equipment. So yeah, I don't know if it's wise for even a person who probably has a ton of money to get into the professional level without also hiring a guy. And if you're going to hire a guy, you're probably better off asking the guy what equipment does he need or want, because he'll have his own personal preferences. But if you're just trying to get into being a streamer, that can be done cheaply and easily. Get a Blue Yeti. You can use that to record 2 people pretty nicely. Get a simple Logitech USB camera. It's the USB that's the dividing line. If you're plugging it directly into your computer, you're doing it the cheap way. If you're hooking up a microphone to a soundboard and then the soundboard's going through USB, that's something completely different. And I certainly have thought about getting a soundboard personally, and there's a little tweaks and things I could do, but it would be a huge amount of overkill and waste of money. So yeah, anyways, I made my suggestion there. Also, there's some weirdness on Twitter. There's always been a level of elitism where if you don't have a blue check mark, and even if people ask for comments and you respond to them, they just don't respond back to you at all. They've got some kind of filter, or they're using TweetDeck or something that just says only talk to verified people. Give me that blue check mark. which is probably going to be a major contributing factor to the downfall of Twitter when it does finally fall apart. Is that you just cannot have a, hey, I'm a human being, you're a human being, let's have a human-to-human conversation. No, instead you have blue check marks and everybody else getting ignored and major block lists. It'd be interesting to make something like a social media page and then kick off people who block too many people. It's like, you're just not sociable enough. You don't need to be on the, we don't want you on this service. You've blocked too many, or you can't block people. That would be a mistake, certainly, to say you can't block people, but there are people who certainly use it to be in an echo chamber, and that's just shouldn't be the goal of your service. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called The Emulator. It suffers from dark screenshot syndrome. It's not an emulator as far as a game. It's a horror walking around game. I can't see anything here. It's just all darkness. If they spelled emulator differently, it's EMULATOR. If they had spelled it emulator IM, I think that might have worked as a better name. Because that means something different, but whatever, this game's not interesting. I didn't even look at the price. Gamma Sutra has the article, Darksiders 3 introduces new, quote, classic combat mode. Gunfire Games, developer behind Darksiders 3, put out a patch yesterday which allows players to switch to a new classic combat mode. A few games have introduced similar modes, although it seems Darksiders 3 classic combat mode implements mechanics that makes it play similar to the previous titles in the franchise. As explained in the patch notes, players will see two different options when starting the game or loading a save file. A prompt for either default or classic will pop up, where the latter should feel more like the previous Darksider titles, allowing Fury to dodge, interrupt her attacks, as well as use items instantly. To me, that sounds like that's the right move. Like, I think I would definitely want to play in the classic mode, and like, maybe I try the default, but if the default is just a Dark Souls style of gameplay that's way too difficult, I'd probably only spend 30 minutes on that. And the idea that you can load a save file and switch instantaneously is interesting too. So that means if you're having trouble in certain spaces, you could switch over to classic mode without having to commit to it always. Let's see. The default mode is the original combat mode for Darksiders 3, and the option can be changed at any point in the gameplay options while playing. This has no effects on difficulty or achievements. Interesting. So also, that means that you could probably still get a achievement for playing it on the hardest difficulty and still make the game, which is an interesting thought, certainly.
Job's done.
Gamma Sutra has an article, Slack cites US sanctions as it rolls out mass account deactivations. Slack is a popular team-based communication tool in the tech spaces, and it has issued a wave of sudden bans to users and servers it says have ties to countries sanctioned by the United States. The deactivations themselves were sudden and instantaneous, meaning that any devs deemed by Slack to originate from Cuba, Iran, North Korea, Syria, or the Crimea region of Ukraine were even erroneously will have lost access to any data or information they'd previously stored in Slack along with losing access to the communication with team members. So that sounds like that sucks terrible if that were to happen to you. I guess that is inherently what sanctions are. Though it's another great example that anything important should not go through a third-party service. If you're running your business through Skype, you need to have a backup. If you're using Slack to communicate, you probably need a backup too. I certainly have heard of Slack, but I've never used it myself. A lot of these services that are supposedly supposed to be helpful for the IT crowd, as far as talking and communicating each other, are implemented and forced by the management, and because of that, hey there, let's spectate this new person. They're forced by the management, and they end up causing IT people to have to talk to each other. And really, what in the F was that about? What in the world just happened there? Don't get that one. Let's play mage, I guess. Yeah, IT people in general don't want to talk too much, and I certainly have used some of these IT softwares that are really just about you logging what you're doing with your time. And that's not really what IT people should be doing. IT's a little bit creative, and creatives don't respond well to time management. In fact, most people don't respond well to time management in general. The truth is, most people in most jobs are sitting around and doing nothing for a considerable amount of time every day. And you just accept that 40 to 50% of a person's day might be just having that employee nearby in case you have any need for them. And like, human beings are not going to get to 100% efficiency. They're not going to spend 100% of their time. They just cannot do that.
Happy Feast of Winter Vale.
So yeah, a lot of those services can be helpful, or they can be abused. Next we have a game on Steam called Intrepid, which says it's an adventure puzzle game. It looks like, to me, it's a slight asset flip. It's not very polished, where you're walking around a spaceship and maybe solving some puzzles and figuring out what's going on. It's already at mixed reviews with 18 reviews. It's a free game too, so if you want to check it out, you can. But as for me, I'll just ignore it. I'm gonna try to play this really low. Play this really late. Next we have a game on Steam called Atlas. Now, unless I'm totally mistaken, Atlas is getting basically review bombed right now. It's mostly negative because they're claiming that it is a cheap Ark Survival Evolved ripoff. Atlas right now is discounted to $24.99 and is tagged early access. Now when I'm looking at the trailer, I don't actually see what they're talking about. I don't see that, because this, to me, looks like this is a pirate game, plain and simple. Where you're getting on pirates and you're running around fighting each other. So it doesn't feel like Ark Survival Evolved. There's also some non-pirate things and land things. 2018 being the year of the pirate turned into a joke. None of the pirate games that came out mattered. So I could be wrong. Let me see a picture of a dragon here. Maybe I'm thinking of a different game that is the Ark Survival Evolved ripoff. But Atlas certainly is not getting much love either. It's an online multiplayer game, so I wouldn't play it anyways. But I'll mention it as I'm trying to finish everything here.
We have many secrets.
Let's see. We only have a few more games. There's a game on Steam called Alien Field. It's just full of Japanese writing and graphics. Is this game actually in Japanese? Yes. This looks like an arcade game made by a Japanese developer from the 80s, but the video I'm looking at is just flooding the screen with stuff. This doesn't look interesting to play. Unfortunately, it's just not there. It's super distracting looking.
Someday I'll be just like you.
I can't even really tell you what it is. It looks sort of like it might be something that's taking some inspiration from like Pac-Man or something, but I really can't even tell. It's discounted to $12.59, which is also an incredibly high price. So yeah, we'll leave it at that and move on. Next we have a game on Steam called Tales from the Windy Meadow, which is a pixel graphics adventure fantasy game. Looks like it's probably half fantasy adventure game and half visual novel. Let me... probably not really a visual novel so much as more of just a really old school VR. Next turn, I can play this fine here. Let's see. Oops, forgot to attack. Yeah, Tales from the Windy Meadow. Windy Meadow? I guess that's windy.
We have many secrets.
Yeah. It is just an old Windows 95 style looking game, RPG. Very Western in its animation style with its pixel graphics. Not very impressive. Discounted to $7.19. It's not an RPG Maker looking game, but it really is on that same level in my opinion. Let's see.
Starlight.
Next, there's a game on Steam called Color Night. Looks like it would be a VR game, but I guess it isn't. First-person perspective action game with a color-based scheme. Seems like it's an asset flip game where you shoot out different balls of different colors and against enemies of different colors. And so you probably have to hit a combination of 3 different keys to get certain different colors to have an attack. The idea is not terrible by itself. It's the implementation though is pretty awful. Color Night is discounted to $8.49. That's not making it to the list. Honestly, I'm a little surprised that I so far even have 2 games that are going to make it to the to the follow list today. This being Christmas Eve and all. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Escape Legacy VR. This is a VR escape room game. It doesn't look bad. It's a little dark, but not too dark. It seems like it might actually have a bit of a story built around it too, where you're not just you're not just a random person trying to escape a room. Yeah, the description says, forget about old casual escape rooms and point-and-click games. Be in the room. Begin your adventure today and make your true escape. And this game is $7.99 discounted. Escape Legacy VR looks like it deserves to be on the follow list. Of course, it is also one of these games that is VR only, so unless they take out the VR requirement, I'll never play it. Next we have a game on Steam called Erotic Winter Sports. Too bad the web peak doesn't work right now. It's tagged sexual content and nudity. It is a simplistic match 3 game with some terribly drawn anime-ish girls, but not. I wouldn't really say a Japanese person developed this. I would say this is probably a Russian troll game. It's tagged with German, simplified Chinese, and Russian, along with English as far as the languages go. And it looks like there might be a couple of mini games on top of that, but I think it's mostly just removing match 3 matches, and then when you succeed to a certain level, the characters lose bits of clothing. This really has nothing to do with winter sports at all, other than like they start off in a hockey uniform and end up naked, or they start off in a skiing uniform or a curling uniform and end up naked. Another very low effort sex game, discounted to $3.74, and there's a whole bundle full of them for $9.90. Like, there's unfortunately probably too many suckers in the world that still would fall for things like that, games like that shouldn't. Moving on, we have a game called Change: A Little Story. Unfortunately, English is not supported. This is a Chinese game. It looks like it's a simplistic visual novel, but I don't think you get very good quality on it. It looks like half of the pictures in the backgrounds are photo pictures, so that they're only even bothering to animate the anime characters on the front part of the screen, and everything else is just straight up stock image. The game is discounted to $1.19. Again, English language not supported. But that is another instance of the characters not being in a Japanese style school outfit. The character was instead in what I would describe as a Chinese style workout outfit that you would have seen Chinese kids in school potentially wear. So yeah, that hypocrisy is still pretty obvious.
Fear those who wield it.
I mean, it really just boils down to some ridiculousness. If you're gonna censor things based on fashion, you're getting into such a subjective descriptor that it's never gonna make any sense at all. I would much prefer a hardcore description of it. If it was, you can only show 60% of your skin, that would make sense. Or if you can only show 60% of arm skin and 0% of breast skin, if you had entire regions that turned into an actual metric, at least that would be something people could follow. People would still work a way around that. But to say this kind of outfit is acceptable where this other kind of outfit isn't is a complete lack of understanding in the field of cosplay. It's a complete lack of understanding of pretty much anything. Of course, I'm just getting back onto the same old rants that I cannot get away from.
I must protect the wild.
You asked for it.
Yeah, I wish there was more news to talk about, frankly. Have I played all the spell cards? I wasn't really paying attention. Let's see. While we're at it, we'll just add that person. Like, I need to watch and learn, so I'm gonna add people. We have a game on Steam called Event Horizon. Not related, I assume, to the movie Event Horizon. It looks like it's a construct your ship and then control it.
Job's done.
The person on the chat just said good game, by the way. Yeah, it seems like you control the ship, but you also control what goes in your ship to change its statistics, like its armor and its thrust and something. Things like that. That's a slightly interesting idea, customizing your ship, but honestly, it's not something I think I'd want to spend a lot of time with. I know when I was playing FTL, there were some ships that slightly would allow you to change some things, but it really wasn't that interesting or a main part of the gameplay. Event Horizon is discounted right now to $2.39, but I'm not interested in it.
What to do?
Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Keyhole Spy Frozen Hotties, which is tagged sexual content, nudity, and puzzle. It has both match 3 puzzles and slide puzzles in it, but I will give this one some props. They have found a way to make some videos here that makes this game actually look like it is slightly better quality of a product. Instead of what usually it looks like is just a complete and total low effort development. They've got some polish, they've got what seems like a slightly consistent animation style between the characters. Everybody is in fancy Christmas themed high fashion lingerie, I guess it might be what you would call it. But it's not quite that. It's just Christmas themed high fashion costumes. Keyhole Spy Frozen Hotties is discounted for $4.19. It's tagged English, Russian, German, and simplified Chinese. So again, not a Japanese game, even though it has the Japanese anime. Not an Asian game, even though it has the anime style. This actually looks a lot better, but it still shouldn't be on my wish list, so like it's not gonna make it. Because I know what this is. Even though they're putting a lot of polish on it, this is still gonna be a low effort game, not worth $4.19. The only reason why I'd play a game like that and why I covered like Honey Pop is that there was a good year of people saying Honey Pop was good before I played it. There was definitely a lot of excitement around that game that told me that it was more than what it just looked like. And Honey Pop really did deliver with a lot of content and a lot of conversations and a lot of date mechanics in it besides just the match 3 element. So all of that extra work they put into it elevated that. Now, I guess Honey Pop 2 is in development, so maybe, I suppose just maybe, I will cover Honey Pop 2 if I can get it in the censored format, which maybe it will come out in the censored format, maybe it won't. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Starway VR. It looks like it's some kind of VR game where you just build like ships in VR for no reason. Like that's kind of all I can figure out all it is. It seems like you're building spaceships that are tiny, like toy spaceships in VR, and then every other screenshot has you inside or looking at the spaceship flying around. Like, well, it doesn't even look like it's a spaceship, it looks like it's a submarine flying around in the ocean, honestly. This game is early access, requires VR. It's $9.99. Starway VR, I don't think it's going to make it to the I don't think it's gonna make it to the fall list. It's too confusing and not interesting enough. Next, we have a game on Steam called Yanpai Simulator, Y-A-N-P-A-I, which this I think is Yandere Simulator clone, but you're playing as the male equivalent, which there's probably a little bit of danger going that way, because like Yandere Simulator was already a psycho who was stalking somebody and killing people. Once you have a male stalker who's running around stalking people and potentially killing people, that gets different. The weirdness here though is Yanpai Simulator looks better, or at least on the same level as Yandere Simulator already, and they've beaten them to the market. So I guess what I do on this, even though this very possibly is just a troll game and it's early access, it's discounted for $4.39. I'm going to put this on the fall list and we'll see if this actually turns into a real game. I mean, every screenshot shows a lot of content, more content than Yandere Simulator. But I mean, that's not really holding it to much of a high standard anyways. It's just saying that Yandere Simulator's developer never really could make a game or finished product, and I've said that multiple times. Next is a game on Steam called Sweet Pool. This is a male visual novel sexual content game. I imagine I'm not seeing any female characters, so this might be guy on guy stuff. And these are older male depictions, certainly. Yeah, it's guy and guy.
What to do? What to do?
So yeah, I put them in 30, 40-year-old age. They're definitely not going for the moe animation style. I guess I should have played the spell first and then played this card. Is this voiced in English? No. So it's a visual novel. It's not voiced in English. I'd love to cover some of these more male-focused romance visual novels if I am going to cover any of them, because I'd like to cover a wide range, a little bit of everything. But I don't see a real reason to put this on the fall list. Like, I think I'm slowly starting to lean towards getting rid of all the visual novels on the wish list anyways. But you know what, I'll be generous and I'll put it on the fall list anyways, just in case I decide to change my mind on that. I really haven't been able to make a solid decision there. A lot of it just determined by YouTube itself. Next we have a game on Steam called Project Reset. It's a free-to-play visual novel. The animation looks like something out of like Cartoon Network or something, and very flat. Kind of looks like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World animation style too. It's just a ghostly outline of all the characters using a green ink outline for some reason, and then some pale pastel colors, I guess. Maybe it might be the... It just looks really weird. It's free, but I just don't know about that animation style. And then that brings us to the Humble Bundle, and I don't think we've done anything on the English, on the European Asian account. We've just spent so much time here. I did buy the Sonic the Hedgehog Humble Bundle, which helped me fill in a gap that was there, so now I have a bunch of Sonic games. Let's see, we could look at the Yogscast Jingle Jam bundle and see where that is. It's got like 16 hours left, and just scrolling through all these games, most of which I do not recognize at all. Like, I've recognized one game so far out of 26 or 24. Wizorb came out today. Yeah, and the Lucas remake came out a couple days ago. But then the rest of these games, let's see, if I was to get them, I probably don't have them because I've never heard of them, but I don't know if that really means anything. Let's see. And yeah, it'd be kind of crazy if the Humble Bundle had created any new bundles since the last time I looked. Alright, so I have 37. I have 7 more spells I need to play, and a watch and learn I need to do. Let's open this pack. Let's go to the Asian account. This was a pack I got from defeating a quest to beat people in a dungeon run, and that didn't take too long. I did it last night because I thought I was behind by one, and it turned out I was. So that's good. I'm gonna have to come back and do some stuff off screen. Yeah, I'm gonna just quickly scroll down my Twitter feed. Borderlands 2 episode 63 aired 2 hours ago. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to do one of these off screen, probably a watch and learn. And I'll open the pack Wednesday. Now let's switch to the Asian account and see what I'm gonna do off screen there, because we are done. Like, I don't see a reason to try to talk more and cover this. I'm just gonna wrap up and say happy holidays and go spend your Christmas doing something slightly different, and we'll be back Wednesday. Interesting. For the first time, I think ever, Twitter decided to have me to recommend that I follow Donald Trump, the @real Donald Trump, and I'm like, I've not followed any political people ever, and I don't really want my Twitter feed filled up with politicians talking, so I, instead of following him, clicked on the 3 dots and muted him. That way I don't see him even more and see what happens there. I don't know if that's how that works or not. I imagine it isn't. But I guess I should applaud Twitter for not immediately recommending him to me. And I get it. He's like the most followed person on Twitter. Okay, yeah, I just looked down there. I only had like 12 new Twitter tweets. So, off screen, I'll play Warlock class cards and destroy minions, and very possibly even get some of these others done. If I could keep one of these and re-roll it, that would be nice too. That's going to be it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me on this Christmas Eve, you can support me down below through Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list. That's it. Have a good holidays. I'll be back on Wednesday. Thank you for watching. Actually, you know what? I might have a special stream tomorrow too. We'll see what happens. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.